ready to shoot. Gotta go. Craig in the corner. Does hit the rim, and there's Paul. He didn't know if it hit the rim. Are you kidding? He throws up a prayer.
Welcome to a Valley Sports Plug Phoenix Suns playoff recap for Round 1, Game 4. I'm Chris Patrick, and with me is my man Michael Benjamin here to break it all down for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at how Game 4 broke down for the Phoenix Suns in Los Angeles. Another slow start. The Suns would find themselves down 7, 30-23 at the end of the first. Playing better defense in the second, the Suns limited the Clippers to just 17 points in the second, making the score 48-47 at the break, the Suns in the lead. Keeping the pressure on, the Suns kept it close, and the score was 83-78 at the end of the third. With some big shots down the stretch, the Suns were able to get the job done again in this one. The final score, 112-100. A much-needed 2 days off ahead, and then we're going to come back home up 3-1 in this series. Now I'll pass it over to Mike for an in-depth look at Game 4.
To start off, the elephant in the room once again. Kawhi Leonard is listed as out for Game 4, and the Clippers are shorthanded. But we'll fast forward just a little bit into quarter one when Chris Paul crosses Eric Gordon to the ground, swings and finds Booker for a three to put the Suns up by 7. But then the Suns proceed to give up a 7-0 run and are outscored 21-7 and find themselves down by 7 after 1. And in quarter two, the Suns fall into a double-digit hole, but use a barrage to outscore LA 25-17 and end up 1 at halftime. And then we start the second half once again. Some one-on-one ball to start, some turnovers, and a little bit of lazy defense charge a Clippers 7-0 run. But the secondary unit, including Damian Lee and Bismack Biyombo, helps to push the pace. And the Suns find themselves up by 5, head into the final quarter. And in that fourth quarter, the offense did struggle through the first 2 minutes, but good defense led to good offense. And the Suns take a 8-point advantage. They do come out of a timeout, give up 2 threes, and Devin Booker has an 8-second violation, but they finish with a flurry, continuous daggers, and Chris Paul hits a circus shot. After that, the Clippers, their balloon deflated after multiple air balls, and the Suns secure a 12-point victory, heading back home with a 3-1 commanding series lead. Exactly what this team needed to do with the Clippers superstar Kawhi Leonard on the bench, looking to go home and shore this one up and look forward. But Chris, it's that time. We got to see what the 3 keys of this one were. So I'm going to pass it over to you for number 1.
As always, we got 3 keys for you in this game, and the first one has to be Monty Williams finding his rotation. Only played 9 guys today, and that's the fewest in this series. Okogie had 25 minutes, 6 points, no 3-pointers off the bench unit today, and we're still not seeing Terrence Ross be a part of this bench unit. I don't know if this will be the group of guys going forward, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it, but I think the bench did what they had to do today and let our main guys take control and get the job done.
I'm right there with you, Chris. I think Monty Williams understands the Landry Shamet experience is over with. He did try to put him out there again, but Landry's not ready to make those shots in this playoff run, and he's just basically biding his time before campaign comes back, which we're going to need to start giving Chris Paul a little bit more of a breather down the stretch in some of these games. But it looks like Bismack Biyombo and Damian Lee have really set themselves within this secondary unit, probably going to continue to get 10-plus minutes a night. And they've started to include Josh Okogie once again with those top 4 guys. His energy and effort just always seems to be there. And we're at the point, I think we're starting to understand that this team is so top-heavy, we're going to rely on all of those guys. And what we can get from the bench, we're hoping to continue to get double digits in scoring, but they just have to keep that plus-minus in our favor and move forward from there. So, Chris, what's key number 2 from this victory?
Key number 2 has got to be the elephant in the room. No Kawhi Leonard, no Paul George. The Clippers being chronically understaffed in this series. Again, we find ourselves asking, would this have had a different outcome had those guys played? And I think it's a fair question to ask. I mean, we're taking on a Clippers team that on paper would be more formidable with those two guys playing. And we're projecting ahead to possibly playing against the number one team, the Denver Nuggets. When these guys don't play, it forces guys like Norman Powell to get more shots, which he showed tonight that he's not able to get it done on a consistent basis. And Russell Westbrook just can't do it alone. He was 17 of 29 from the field and had 37 points, and they weren't able to even come close. I mean, a 12-point victory honestly should have been more. I know a win's a win, and it's hard to nitpick a win, but again, would this have been a different outcome had those guys played?
The age-old saying, I'll hit you with it. You play who you play, and it's a tough draw for the LA Clippers to have their two superstars out. But the Suns handled business and do exactly what you need to do against teams that are missing their guys. You go on the road and you handle business and give yourself an opportunity to close up shop back at home. That's what you have to do. And they made the adjustments that they needed to after Game 4 when Norman Powell goes crazy for 42. He just struggled consistently today, shot 4 of 15, only had 14 points, has a minus 16 in the plus minus category. And I will live with Russell Westbrook shooting 30 times a game. He has definitely found another level by going to the Clippers, but he's just not the same type of player. And like you said, he can't do it alone anymore. So took care of business and did exactly what you had to do when those guys were missing pieces. With that being said, Chris, what's our final key from this game and the beautiful victory that we saw in Los Angeles?
So we know our main two guys are Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, but the third key of the game is about the other two, CP3 and DeAndre Ayton. They really showed up today. Ayton was 7 of 13 from the field with 15 points and 13 rebounds. Chris Paul had 19 points, 9 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. That is the most on this Suns team for this game. Those 3 blocks were crucial. So when Durant and Booker aren't having their best game, we can still fall back on the other two to get things done for us. And like you said, Chris Paul came through with some big shots late and secured the deal for us.
You know, we give flack because we love him, especially when it comes to DeAndre Ayton. We just know what kind of player he can be. We're still seeing some of those situations where he fumbles the ball a little bit, doesn't set his positioning, or just use his general bigger body to attack a little bit deeper. But he was efficient with the looks that he did have tonight, shot over 50%, got double digits on the rebounds, and played some great aggressive defense and was driving and hammering home at the hole when he needed to. And Chris Paul, the one thing that we keep talking about these guys is the consistency. You know, we see game 2, Chris Paul hit some big shots down the stretch, and he did it tonight as well. But you hope that it's not one game off, one game on, one game off, one game on. And I think we're going to get back to the pace that we know from Chris Paul once we do get Cam Payne back, which hopefully is going to be shortly. I'd love to get him back in this next game just so we can get him into the lineup, get his legs moving, because this next series, as long as the Suns do make it through, we obviously don't want to look too far ahead. That one's going to be crazy. 3-1 series lead. That's what we wanted. That's what we needed. So, Chris, I'll pass back over to you for your final thoughts from this one.
Thanks, Mike. I think the biggest thing for me was we went into Los Angeles and we got the job done. Getting 2 wins, reclaiming home court advantage, now coming back up 3-1. I know I get on here and I'm very critical of this team, so I'll start off with the good and then I'll finish with the bad. They held their composure. Although we're not having the best starts in these games, we're finishing strong. And at the end of the day, it's all about getting the dub. It doesn't have to be the most pretty thing in the world as long as we win the game. But what I do need to see is more ball movement on offense. I need to see them, again, being more serious and taking better shots. I know Devin Booker's getting it done. 30 points in this game, 45 in the last game. But do you have to take the most difficult shots possible? And now I'm saying the same thing for Kevin Durant. I know these guys are perfectly capable and they are knocking them down a good portion of the time. But guys, come on, let's just take some smart shots. So I'm very excited for Game 5 and very optimistic that we'll be able to close out this series.
This one coming up, Chris, I'll be almost honest with you. I think this is a must-win game for the Phoenix Suns because the way that these starters have been playing with the extended amount of minutes, they're going to need similar amounts of rest that the Denver Nuggets get when they eventually sweep the Minnesota Timberwolves. So if you can shore this one up on Tuesday, get some extra time while the other series are trying to finish up, then we can have some fresher legs to go up against the toughest opponent left in the Western Conference, I'd probably say at this point. But let's not get too far in front of us. Let's go back home. Let's do the damn thing, Chris.
You're right. One game at a time, Mike. Kawhi might not return in this series. That's a storyline we'll be keeping our eyes on. But Game 5 will be at home versus the Clippers on this Tuesday coming up at 7 p.m. Arizona time. Make sure you tune in for all of our recaps a day after the game. For Michael Benjamin, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.